Welcome to the Disney Wedding Podcast. This show is brought to you by Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, the only guidebook and bridal organizer tailored exclusively to Disney's fairy tale weddings at Walt Disney World. I'm Carrie Hayward, and each week I feature Disney wedding updates, money-saving tips, and interviews with wedding vendors and real Disney couples. I also cover honeymoons, anniversaries, and engagements at the Disney parks and resorts. Join me now as the Disney Wedding Podcast celebrates romance at Disney destinations. Today on the Disney Wedding Podcast, I am speaking with Disney bride Allie Heard about her Disney cruise wedding aboard the Disney Wish with a ceremony at the Grand Hall and a celebration at the Bayou. I thought you guys would be interested to hear about how Allie planned everything and how it all turned out. So welcome, Allie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for being on the show today. I would love to start at the very beginning and find out how you and your fiancé decided that you wanted to have your wedding on a Disney cruise.
To begin with, Disney is a very special part of my entire love story with my fiance because we met doing the runDisney races down in Florida. So we knew in some way, shape, or form, we would love to incorporate Disney and running, hopefully together, but you never know. The challenge was because we met in Florida, I'm actually from New York and he is from West Virginia/Ohio. So our friends were kind of all over the country with some friends in Florida as well. So no matter what, when we were going to have a wedding, someone was going to have to travel. His side, my side, our friends from Florida. So we decided we're going to do a destination so that everybody has to travel. And we were thinking about options. We looked at the traditional Disney weddings, and I think it kind of officially clicked that the cruise experience was going to be for us because they offer a 5K on the island, Castaway Cay, the next day. I said, how perfect would it be if we could have our wedding and then the next day we could convince all of our friends to get up and run the 5K with us because that's such a special part of our relationship. So we started doing the research, and the more we thought about it, the more we looked into it, we realized not only was this great for our budget, but also something we thought would be an amazing experience for us, for our guests. We were sold all around.
That's awesome. So then how did your friends and family react when they found out where the wedding was going to be and that they were going to have to get up and do a race the next day?
Mixed reactions, especially about that race. Everybody was excited. There is, of course, challenges when you are going to have, I think, a destination wedding anywhere. There are always going to be some people who you really love and care about who can't make it for one reason or another. So there was that factor. But for the most part, everybody was really excited. It was the first time in a while my side of the family had traveled, so it was a really exciting trip for them. And then, our local Florida friends were the ones who lucked out in this department. They were very excited, but everybody really was game. The ones who decided to come, and we ended up with about 50 people there. And everyone there was really excited to kind of have a Disney Cruise Line vacation along with our wedding.
Wow. Okay. So then how did you choose the Wish? Was it just because that was how you would get to do the race?
I believe some and or most of the ships go to Castaway Cay, but truly I loved the Grand Hall on the Wish. When we were looking at the different ships or ideas, not only do they have the 3-day cruise that worked really well for us, but the whole aesthetic, the princess vibes of the Grand Hall, that was the one for me. I saw the pictures and videos of different ceremonies there and said, this is it. This is what I would really like for the backdrop of our ceremony.
Got it. And how does it work? Because don't they usually have the ceremonies in the Grand Hall on the Castaway Cay day?
The Grand Hall ceremony was on the Nassau day. We left on Friday, and then we were docked in Nassau on Saturday. That's when we had the whole wedding. And then the following day, Sunday, we were at Castaway Cay. So we actually got to have a full wedding day and then a full Castaway Cay day as well.
Oh, that's awesome. How did you choose the Bayou for your celebration?
So that was chosen for us, but I absolutely was fine with it. That is what they offered along with the Grand Hall ceremony. We would do the cake and champagne celebration at the Bayou based on probably size. They didn't offer me anything else, but I didn't need to see anything else. With the beautiful flower ceiling at the Bayou, it was very complimentary to the aesthetics of the Grand Hall. So I enjoyed that a lot.
And did you do anything to customize the standard cruise collection wedding package elements like the cake or the bouquet?
We didn't do too much. We really kept it kind of basic when it came to the cake. We didn't add anything florals. We just did what came with the package, and it was absolutely lovely. The only thing we did decide to do was provide an open bar at the cake and champagne celebration, along with some snack platters. But we were really excited about the option of giving our guests, even for just an hour, an open bar on a cruise ship, which is something I've never experienced and was fun.
That's awesome. For other people who might be considering this, do you remember how much they charged you for the snacks and the open bar?
So I do remember it was, I believe, $16.50 a person for the open bar. And then they charged per snack platter. I want to say it was about $100 to $150 per platter, maybe even a little less. There was different options. There was veggie platters, fruit platters, cookie platters, more dessert type things. They had a fancy seafood one, but we didn't opt for that. We just did one veggie, one fruit, and one cheese and crackers. And it was more than enough. Everybody was just kind of picking. I will say this, I was going to order a lot more, and our wedding coordinator actually suggested that I didn't. She said in her experience, one or two platters is more than enough. Everybody's eating a lot on the cruises, and they're going to be more focused on you and the speeches in the bar. So don't overspend on food. And she was absolutely right. So I really appreciated that guidance.
Wow, that's a great tip. Now, did you guys add any land-based options on either side of your cruise, like a portrait session or a dessert party back at Walt Disney World?
We did not. Budget-wise, we really didn't have a lot for too much outside of the cruise. We did one big splurge, which was our photographer, and I don't regret it at all. That was the best thing we could have possibly splurged for. But we decided to kind of do the rest do it yourself, DIY. We did the 5K that I mentioned, but we also put together a little monorail bar crawl the night before the cruise. We gave everybody a gift card with $15 on like a little cute custom keychain, and they got their first drink on us. We went to a few different spots around the resort. So we did our own thing, but we didn't do anything through Disney.
Got it. Now, how did you decide to bring your own photographer on the cruise?
We were weighing our options of what our one big splurge was going to be. When we looked at a dessert party, possibly the night before, we looked at possibly doing the park shoot, and we really wanted pictures. And I think it was important to both of us that the pictures were where our wedding took place. Although the park shoots are spectacular, and I think we have a couple more months to decide if we really want to do one, which we might. For this particular moment, I wanted pictures on the ship of us in our wedding attire, the dress, and Neil in his tux. And so I feel like that was kind of what put us over the edge in that department. And then I saw a Disney Weddings Instagram post that Nate Root Life Photographers, they did a Disney Wish wedding. And I said, that's it. That's the pictures. That's who I want. And I reached out to him and we made it happen.
Oh, that's awesome. And just a side note, you actually can go back and do bridal portraits inside the parks at Walt Disney World at any time after your wedding. I think people get confused because if you've prepaid for it with your BEO, then you only have a year. But once you've had a Disney wedding, you can go back at any time.
Yes. Okay. I didn't know that. I thought it was a year, because if I really have forever, then we're definitely going to do it at some point, probably if I get my way.
That's awesome. Now, how did you decide not to bring your own hair and makeup artist on the ship?
So this was a tough one. I am not a big makeup person. I don't know if that's the right way to put it. I've never been someone who wears a lot of makeup or put my, focus or emphasis on a lot of makeup. So I wasn't too stressed about it. When it came to hair, I looked at a few different pictures of people who had gotten their hair done on the ship. I also kind of knew what I wanted maybe wasn't the most difficult to recreate. So I did kind of just put my faith in the Disney Cruise Line salon. I brought my own makeup. You have to bring your own makeup for them to do it. I was considering doing it myself because I was going to keep it so simple, but I really am so glad I let Belle, who was the salon attendant who did my makeup, I'm so glad I let her do it because she took it a little step further. So it still looked really natural, not too much, very much like me, but just like a little elevated, a little bridal. So I was happy with that choice. They did a really nice job.
That's fantastic. Can you give my listeners a timeline of how the wedding day ran? and maybe then also how it worked with the race the next day.
Yeah, absolutely. My hair appointment began at 8 a.m. on the second day of the cruise. So that was our Nassau day. And my photographer joined right at 8, started doing detail shots while I got my hair done. Neil went and got a shave at Hook's Barbery while I was getting my hair done. And then I think he went on the Aqua Mouse. So his schedule was probably a little different than mine. But one of the perks of being on the cruise ship, you can go do the Aqua Mouse before your wedding if you want to. But I was getting my hair done starting at 8. And then we did makeup. I think that took almost an hour and a half, I would say. And then I went back to my mom's stateroom because we wanted to be a little separate from Neil. So he didn't see me in my dress, but he could have his space. So I got ready in my mom's stateroom. We took pictures, but it was very relaxed. It really was. We had time because the ceremony wasn't until 1. We had a first look. We did lots of bridal pictures, and we still had no stress, no rush trying to get to the ceremony on time. So we had a lot of flexibility in the day. We had one really, really fun surprise. When we were taking our bridal pictures, we stumbled upon the royal gathering happening in the Grand Hall, and we're gifted a little Disney magic to take some pictures with some princesses. So we had time for that. We had a really nice experience leading up to the ceremony. The ceremony started at 1. Our guests were given a really nice little card from Disney Cruise Line the night before that told them to be in the Grand Hall at 12:40. We had given them an itinerary and a welcome bag, but this was something really nice that the cruise line does. If you don't have a welcome bag or an itinerary, they will let everyone know what time and where to be. And so we did our ceremony at 1. That transitioned right into our cake and champagne celebration, which was technically from 1:30 to 2:30. That was when our open bar hour was, so I remember that. And it gave me a few minutes in between, take a couple more pictures, bustle my dress, and then we did a little grand entrance. We went right into the cake cutting, had a drink, said hi to everyone. We did our first dance. We had 2 toasts. My best friend from childhood and Neil's brother gave a speech, and then the rest of the reception was very relaxed. We took some pictures, we hung out and talked to everyone. We tried a few different drinks. It was really nice. After that, the rest of the cruise, the rest of the vacation is kind of yours. You can do whatever you want. We hung out up until dinner. We had a little treat that pirate night was the night of our wedding because the Super Bowl was happening on Sunday. So we got to have the pirate night fireworks on our wedding night. It was a lot of fun. And then we actually did the newlywed game that they have on the ship. That started at 11. So we did the newlywed game and we won, I'm very proud to say. And then our wonderful, fantastic friends were up with us at 7:30 in the morning when the ship was docked in Castaway to kind of all travel over to the island together to run the 5K. And that was the last thing that we told our guests, that was on the agenda. After that, the day was theirs. We all hung out at the beach. We saw each other at the dinners and at the shows and things like that. But the rest of the day was theirs. But they were good sports. They were there at 7:30 in the morning to run that 5K with us because they knew it was so important. So we're the best for having them.
Wow, that's awesome. And how did the 5K turn out? Did you best your personal best time?
No. No. It was a lot of fun. We definitely took it nice and easy. Our photographer came with us and he got really great pictures of us at the start line and with our medals. But we ran, slow. Some people walked. It got quite warm quite quickly. So we were, 7:30 a.m. We did it as early as we possibly could to try to beat the heat a little because all I'd ever heard was how hot it can get on that island. And it was still hot. February, it was still getting really hot really fast. So it was by no means a sprint or anybody was running all that fast. It was more about just being there together and doing it together.
That's awesome. And can you talk a little bit about your outfit for the race that you had made that was similar to your wedding gown?
Yes, I can. So me and Neil met through runDisney. I have always done little race costumes, different characters, themes of the races. And I met a wonderful girl vendor account online called Top Stitch Couture. And she does custom race skirts, tutu skirts. And she's made a few really beautiful skirts for me, a beautiful bell skirt, beautiful aerial skirt. And so I asked her if she would make a wedding skirt for me. And I had a picture of my dress from when I was trying it on. And I sent it to her, and she did a really phenomenal job of finding fabrics that looked similar to the dress so that it could be an homage and nod to my wedding dress. So I got to run the 5K in a beautiful, sparkly tutu that looked very similar to my wedding dress. So that was very exciting. And then we also have another great friend we've made through Run Disney, and her Etsy slash Instagram is called Jogging for Jassy. And she made a couple things for us. She did custom t-shirts for everyone who ran the race that we had in their welcome bags. She did the art that we put on the medals that we gave to everyone. And then she also made Neil a really fantastic tux looking tank top. So we had little wedding race attire matching. So it was really cute. And the photos of that are really nice. So we had to. We're Run Disney people. So we definitely had to make sure that the 5K, we looked and felt like a Run Disney race.
That's awesome. When you guys were planning your wedding, what were some of the most important aspects of the event where you focused your attention or maybe your budget?
Well, the 5K was definitely something we considered. And then we also, two main things stood out for us. First was the photography, how important it was for us to have pictures on the ship of our family and friends and us in the space where we got married. And the second thing was little personalized ways that we could thank or show the guests that were coming all of this way. As I mentioned, a lot of people traveled with us being family in New York and Ohio. And so we wanted, in any way we could, to do little things to make it a bit more custom to say thank you. So we spent a lot of time on the welcome bags that we put together for the staterooms, which was really cool. We got them, they delivered them to the rooms the first night of the cruise. So we made sure that we put some time and thought into those so that we could hopefully show some appreciation to all the guests who spent a lot out of pocket to come to our wedding. So that was important to us. We really wanted to show how much we cared. And that also factored into why we were so excited about providing the open bar. We were like, anything we can do to say thank you or make sure our guests have a little bit more extra fun. They're already going to have an amazing time on a Disney cruise, but a couple little extras, we looked into doing that.
That's great. Were there any aspects that were less important where you saved your money or just your effort?
I'm sure this is different for every bride. Things like the flowers, the cake, we were happy as can be with what Disney provided. The cake, we just got the simplest 2-tier. We picked the flavors. It was delicious. It was amazing. So base level package cake, already mind blowing. For my bouquet, I had 4 different options in the standard package. I picked just the roses, French roses, half lavender, half white. It was beautiful. So I mean, we didn't spend any extra there. We went with what was given to us, and we think it was fantastic because it's Disney. So it's already great.
So what flavors did you pick for your cake?
We did a marble cake with buttercream, I believe, either French vanilla or buttercream. Now I'm forgetting, but it was truly delicious. There's very silly pictures of me having the first bite of the cake because I was so blown away by how good the cake was. And then we actually got to they send us the top of the cake. They only served the bottom. They sent us the top of the cake to our stateroom. And so we actually brought the cake into one of the little sitting areas on the boat the next day, and everybody got to have another piece of cake. It was a blast.
Okay, so out of all of this, what ended up being your favorite memory of your wedding?
I mean, there's so many to choose from, but really, truly, there was something I said in my vows because I anticipated that this was going to be the case. But that ceremony in the Grand Hall, I knew that that was something that, like, young me, little Allie, couldn't even imagine how fantastic, how beautiful that space in my very princessy gown, like how much that moment, marrying the best guy I've ever met in my entire life, how special that was. I don't think anything will ever top truly the moment, the ceremony in the Grand Hall. It was spectacular.
That's wonderful. Did anything go wrong or just not turn out like you expected?
No, the thing that I don't think we realize that we were getting ourselves into, which now in retrospect we're laughing because we should have, was how much we were going to have to wear travel agent hats for family, mostly for family. But that was absolutely fine. In retrospect, it was fine and we got through it. But there was a good amount of work in the couple weeks leading up to the cruise, making sure everybody had their cruise transportation booked and, their airline take everything, watching the weather, kind of wearing those travel agent hats. And Neil actually is a travel agent, so he was much better at it than me. But I was always a little anxious about getting everyone down there. I said, once everyone is on the boat, I am going to be happy. So that was a bit of a challenge, a little bit of something that snuck in there. But once we were on the boat, it was fantastic.
I'm glad you brought that up because, yeah, if your partner is not a travel agent, a good thing to do if you're having a cruise wedding is to designate a travel agent who you can just direct all your guests to and just be like, talk to the travel agent because they're going to have tons of cruise experience. And that way you as the couple do not have to be bothered.
Yes, I would take it a step. I mean, as great as it is, of course, Neil is a travel agent and he is used to it. It was a lot of work for him because he was that person. So it was a whole job on top of planning a wedding, but he was up for it. Just know that if your significant other is a travel agent, just warn them, say, should we ask someone else or are you up for this? He was, but it was a lot of work.
Was there anything that seemed like a big deal beforehand or you were worried about and then it turned out not to be a big deal?
I think we had pretty fair expectation. My biggest concern, start to finish, was because so many people were traveling from the Northeast in February, was the weather. That was the only thing that was looming over me for the entire year we had this booked was, will there be a snowstorm and we're going to have to worry about everybody getting down there. And we lucked out. Everybody got down there. There were no travel delays, but that is something, of course, you always have to keep in mind.
Right. Okay. Is there anything you would have done differently knowing what you know now?
Not much. Quite honestly, we're very happy with the way that it all worked out. Very, very well. I think I would just make sure that some of our family and friends were a little bit more prompt about getting their travel plans done. And I think I mean, you really can't always do that, but that was the last minute travel planning with my sibling and things like that. I feel like sometimes you have to play the wedding card and be like, please do this for me. It's my wedding.
Well, especially a cruise, right? Because don't you have to book those pretty far out?
They allow you to book them pretty far out. We had people who booked, as long as there's availability on the cruise, you can continue to book. With the wedding, you do have to give them your head count by, I believe it's maybe 60, 90 days before. I believe we had to do by December and our wedding was the beginning of February. So yes, you would think it's a cruise and people are traveling from New York that we'd have this booked in advance, and I would say about 80% of the people did. But if you have stragglers in your life, last minute people in your life who you know that's how they are, stay on them.
Do you have any other tips or advice for future Disney couples?
I would definitely recommend the cruise. It was such an amazing experience. I remember a lot of people telling me about weddings in general, that it's over so quickly, that it's one day and it's done. You blink and the 4-hour reception is over. And we got to make so many special memories over the course of, from the beginning, from our welcome monorail crawl on Thursday until we said farewell to everyone on Monday. We really felt like we got to enjoy an experience, see everyone, talk to everyone, have a great time with all of our family and friends. So I can't recommend a cruise enough for that, for being able to have a wedding for 3 days and all of your favorite people trapped on a boat with you. It's great.
Well, Allie, I think you've offered a lot of great tips and advice for anyone who's interested in getting married or having a vow renewal on a cruise. And I appreciate you taking the time.
No, thank you so much for asking me. Happy to talk about it again.
That's our show for today. I'm your host, Carrie Hayward, inviting you to join me again next week for another episode of the Disney Wedding Podcast. Past shows and tons of photos for each episode are available on my website, DisneyWeddingPodcast.com, or listen in your favorite podcast app. And for instant answers to all your Walt Disney World wedding questions, check out Carrie Hayward's Fairy Tale Weddings Guide, available as an interactive ebook with continual free updates at fairytaleweddingsguide.com.